Gross sued Google over that similarity and the appropriation it suggested, but ultimately the two sides settled out of court. And one thing's sure, the settlement included enough money in Google stock to keep Bill Gross extremely happy.
We thought it would add value. We never thought it could have this kind of impact and reach and really make for such a valuable economic model online, but we're so thrilled that it has.
Google would tweak Gross's original idea in important ways. Most crucially, it would separate the ads from the so-called organic search results. Take a look at the Google page that we're all so familiar with by now. Here's the white box where you type in your query. Here are the untainted results generated by the Google Relevance algorithm. And then here at the top and to the right are the ads, the blue-colored sponsored links that companies have paid for. And it's from these that Google has derived billions in profits over the past few years.
It was clear that it was a better user experience than arriving at a website that looked as if it was 42nd Street or Times Square at 2 o'clock in the morning. And they thought that would be better for advertisers as well, because it would bring advertisers more business. And that was a wonderful, shrewd, stunning, incredible insight at the beginning of 2000.
What Google had done wasn't merely to chart a path towards its own commercial success. It had laid the foundations for the astronomical takeoff of internet advertising writ large. Suddenly, with AdWords and similar services from Microsoft and Yahoo, anyone who wanted to hawk their goods online, from Toyota and Citibank to a shepherd in the Ural Mountains peddling goatskin rugs, had at their disposal a measurably effective means of reaching a global marketplace. What we now understand is the internet economy was being born, with Google as its most essential player. On August 19th, 2004, Google went public, listing its shares for sale on the NASDAQ stock market. In the previous 5 years, the company had gone from zero to a staggering $3 billion annually in revenue, and had become a household name. The Google IPO caused a frenzy of speculation and anticipation, especially among those who hoped, prayed, it might revive a tech sector still recovering from the dot-com crash. Out in Silicon Valley, a commonly seen bumper sticker around the time read, "Please just give us one more bubble." But the way that Google conducted its offering aroused the ire of many and led to talk on that fateful day of a disaster in the making.
I remember that morning sitting in a conference room with a television, watching people on CNBC talking about what a terribly unsuccessful offering this was going to be and how unlikely we were to be successful.
The controversy over the IPO arose from the fact that Google had chosen an unconventional auction process for selling its shares. And this had alienated much of Wall Street, which profited handsomely from the conventional way of doing business. Google's roadshow to drum up interest in the IPO in the financial community earned terrible reviews. The company's executives came across as arrogant and unforthcoming.
The Google IPO was quite the talk of financial media, and there were many powerful forces on Wall Street who believed this was not the way they wanted public offerings to be done.
The great and the good of Wall Street were in that conference room in the NASDAQ tower in Times Square. So were John Doerr, Eric Schmidt, Larry Page, and me. The tension was thick, and the only thing that cut it was when Larry planted his soon-to-be billion-dollar butt in a plate full of creme fraiche.
It's surreal. There's this enormous wall of pixels and graphics, and you have some sense that here's the whole world's economy sweeping across your eyes. And then up onto the stage go Larry and Eric. And there was a great deal of anticipation about the market opening. And then off they went.
Of course, at noon, the trading turned on, and the first trade was at $100, $15 higher than the previous day's price, and it never went below that.
In the end, despite all the Sturm und Drang, the Google IPO was a success by the measure that matters most. Anyone who bought shares that day and is still lucky or smart enough to have them has made a whopping bundle. 3 years after the offering, Google is valued more highly than FedEx, McDonald's, Coke, Intel, IBM, or Walmart. Shares that traded at $100 had soared to nearly $700. Meanwhile, Brin and Page are ranked among the top 30 richest people in the world.
Google, full stop, is the fastest growing company ever.
Despite racing into the Fortune 500, Google's founders have always been at pains to ensure that their company isn't perceived as yet another rapacious bully, like, say, Microsoft at its zenith. Their ostentatiously altruistic corporate motto is, "Don't be evil." Their campus is a throwback to the dot-com era, with its free food, beanbag chairs, and Segway scooters. But for all the feel-good fripperies, Google remains a highly tuned capitalist machine, one that continues to thrive on the marriage of search and advertising that the company has perfected.
Until advertising online was really effective, there was no way to pay for all the programmers who were building all the software. They were subsidized. So for example, at Sun, we would sell systems or hardware, and we would use that money to pay for our internet programmers. The internet businesses today can pay for their internet programmers with internet revenues, which are typically advertising. So the development of the technology and the advertising go hand in hand.
But Google isn't kicking back and milking its core business. It's not resting on its laurels. Quite the contrary. It knows full well that to stand still in the technology business is to commit commercial suicide.
Google has poured its gargantuan profits into countless experiments and projects, sticking its fingers into every pie within its reach. There's Google Library, Google Books, Google Maps, and Google Earth. There's Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Spreadsheets, and Google Docs. The company bought the startup Blogger for personal web publishing. It bought the startup Picasa for online photo sharing, and of course, YouTube for online video sharing. It all adds up, in the eyes of many, to a plan for world domination. And so it's no wonder that Google mania has gradually started to give way to creeping Google phobia.
Where the sense of Google phobia may be most acute is among privacy crusaders, who worry about how much information about all of us is stored in Google's databases. But it's not just civil libertarians. Even Page and Brin's original mentors have their worries.
People are going to feel that there really is a danger in having too much information stored about everything they've done, everything they've searched for. And we're going to see more and more about that.
For others, Google's metastasizing dominance and ravenous expansion is a call to arms. Although Excite is long dead, Yahoo has ramped up its search and advertising offerings. And also making its mission to take down Google is Microsoft, a company well known for never giving up, for coming late to the party, but always being the last man standing.
Generally, if there was a large internet or software opportunity, Microsoft would figure that out pretty quickly, and they have a lot of really smart people and enormous assets and strengths.
More to the point, as Google has expanded its reach into so many corners of commerce, its list of enemies outside the tech business has grown longer and more formidable. From Viacom and Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation to book publishers and, soon enough, the entire telecommunications industry.
The forces now amassing against Google will confront the company with challenges far greater than any it's ever come up against before. For Google to continue its astonishing rocket ride, Larry